Speaking test instructions. The speaking test is 20 minutes. There are 8 tasks in the speaking test. Please try your best to answer all the questions.
Start speaking now. Time is up. 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 Start speaking now. Time is up.
Rachel. Discovering that an influencer has been deceptive about their content and product endorsements is unfortunately common in today's social media landscape. But how you respond requires careful consideration. Nevertheless, you need to think through the potential consequences and your actual goals before taking any public action. First and foremost, consider what you hope to accomplish by publicly calling out this influencer. Are you seeking accountability, warning other followers, or processing your own feelings of betrayal? Furthermore, understand that publicly criticizing popular influencers often results in their devoted followers attacking the critic rather than acknowledging the valid concerns being raised, potentially subjecting you to harassment, doxing, or coordinated abuse. Additionally, influencers with large followings often have legal resources and public relations teams. And some have sued critics for defamation even when the criticisms were factually accurate, creating legal risk for people who speak out. Moreover, consider whether this particular influencer's deception rises to the level where public accountability is necessary, or whether simply unfollowing them and moving on would adequately address your personal concerns. Although calling out deceptive practices can serve the public interest by warning other consumers, evaluate whether you have the emotional resilience and time to handle potential backlash and whether you're prepared to document and defend your claims if challenged. Consequently, if you decide to address this publicly, focus on factual, documented evidence rather than emotional accusations. Consider posting from a separate or anonymous account to protect yourself, and be prepared for both support and significant criticism. Additionally, you might achieve your goals more effectively by reporting the influencer to the social media platform for violating advertising disclosure rules or contacting regulatory agencies like the FTC, rather than engaging in public call-out culture. Despite your justified feelings of deception, protecting your own well-being and safety should take priority over holding influencers accountable, particularly when platforms and regulatory agencies have official mechanisms for addressing these issues. 2 years ago, I had to complete a critical client presentation and product demonstration during the same week that my mother underwent emergency surgery for a serious health condition. The presentation was for our company's largest potential client and represented months of preparation by our entire team. Furthermore, I was the lead presenter and the only team member who fully understood all technical aspects of our product, making my role irreplaceable at that late stage. The surgery was scheduled unexpectedly after my mother's doctor discovered a concerning condition, requiring immediate intervention. Additionally, the hospital was 3 hours away, and my mother was anxious about the procedure and specifically requested that I be there when she woke up from surgery. I felt torn between my professional obligations to my team and client, and my personal responsibility to support my mother during a frightening medical crisis. To manage both situations, I had to be extremely organized and communicate clearly with everyone involved. First, I explained the situation to my manager and team, being honest about my personal crisis while committing to fulfill my presentation responsibilities. Moreover, I worked extended hours in the 3 days before my mother's surgery, finalizing all presentation materials, creating backup documentation, and preparing a colleague to co-present in case I faced unexpected delays. I also arranged for my mother's surgery to be scheduled early in the morning, allowing me to be at the hospital when she woke up and then drive directly to the client presentation in the afternoon. Additionally, I stayed in constant communication with both the hospital and my team throughout the day, ready to adjust plans if my mother's condition changed or recovery took longer than expected. The day was exhausting and emotionally draining. I sat with my mother until she was stable and comfortable, then drove 3 hours while reviewing presentation notes, and delivered the presentation running on adrenaline and very little sleep. Fortunately, both situations resolved positively. My mother's surgery was successful and her recovery went smoothly, and our presentation won the client contract. This experience taught me that sometimes we must handle multiple critical situations simultaneously, and that success requires clear communication, careful planning, and accepting that we can't give 100% to everything but can give our best effort to all important commitments. Most importantly, I learned that asking for help and being transparent about limitations is stronger than pretending everything is fine while struggling privately. This energetic illustration depicts a Saturday morning youth soccer tournament taking place at a community sports complex, where multiple teams are competing while parents and supporters cheer enthusiastically from the sidelines. The well-maintained field features bright green artificial turf with crisp white boundary lines, corner flags fluttering in the breeze, and portable goals anchored at each end. In the foreground, young players aged approximately 10 to 12 are engaged in intense gameplay, with a determined girl in a red jersey skillfully dribbling the ball past two defenders wearing blue uniforms while her teammates position themselves strategically downfield. Meanwhile, the goalkeeper in yellow is crouched in ready position, eyes locked on the advancing play, hands extended in anticipation of a potential shot. On the right side of the scene, the referee in traditional black and white stripes is running alongside the action, whistle ready in hand, while assistant referees monitor the touchlines with raised flags. Additionally, substitute players are warming up behind their team bench, performing stretching exercises and practice drills under the watchful supervision of their coach, who is holding a tactical clipboard and shouting instructions. The background reveals bleachers filled with enthusiastic parents recording the game on smartphones, some holding homemade banners with player names and encouraging slogans, while younger siblings play with toy soccer balls beneath the seats. Furthermore, a refreshment tent staffed by parent volunteers is selling water bottles, orange slices, and granola bars to keep players hydrated and energized between matches. What makes this youth sports event particularly valuable is how it teaches children essential life skills beyond athletic ability: teamwork, sportsmanship, perseverance, and handling both victory and defeat gracefully, while providing families with shared experiences and creating supportive communities around organized youth activities that promote physical health and social development. Initially, the player in red will attempt to score by shooting the ball toward the goal, whereas the goalkeeper will dive to make a spectacular save. Subsequently, the referee will blow his whistle to signal either a goal or a corner kick, while simultaneously, enthusiastic spectators will erupt in cheers or groans depending on their team allegiance. Meanwhile, coaches on the sidelines will presumably shout tactical instructions to their young players, and consequently, team members might adjust their formations or strategies accordingly. Furthermore, as the match intensifies, players will demonstrate increased determination to secure victory before the final whistle. Despite the competitive nature of youth sports, the atmosphere remains supportive and educational. Nevertheless, passionate fans waving their "Go Team Red" banner will continue their spirited encouragement. In addition, the refreshment stand will likely experience a rush during halftime when players and spectators seek hydration and snacks. In conclusion, this exciting youth soccer match will conclude with handshakes between opposing teams, demonstrating good sportsmanship, and regardless of the outcome, all participants will gain valuable lessons about teamwork, perseverance, and healthy competition that extend far beyond the soccer field. Kenneth, I understand your preference for the virtual online auction format, but I believe the outdoor festival event represents the better choice for our animal shelter. Fundraising campaign. First and foremost, outdoor festivals create emotional connections by allowing potential donors to meet adoptable animals in person, hear directly from shelter staff about their mission, and experience the cause they're supporting in a tangible, memorable way that online events simply cannot replicate. Furthermore, festivals offer multiple simultaneous revenue streams including admission tickets, food and beverage sales, activity booths, merchandise, and traditional donation opportunities, potentially generating more total revenue than auction items alone. Additionally, family-friendly outdoor events attract broader community participation, including people who might not otherwise engage with animal welfare causes, creating new long-term supporters and volunteers beyond just one-time donors. Moreover, the festival format provides valuable visibility for the shelter in the community, with hundreds of attendees seeing the organization's work and potentially sharing their positive experience with others, creating marketing value beyond immediate fundraising. Although weather dependency is a legitimate concern, we can plan for a backup rain date, purchase event insurance, or arrange for covered areas and contingency plans that minimize this risk. Consequently, the community engagement and relationship building aspects of an in-person festival create lasting value for the shelter beyond the immediate funds raised at this single event. Despite the online auction having lower overhead costs, consider that the emotional impact of meeting rescue animals and connecting with passionate volunteers often inspires more generous giving than bidding on auction items through a computer screen. The formal gala, while revenue maximizing per attendee, restricts participation to wealthy donors and misses opportunities to build broader community support. Don't you think creating meaningful connections with diverse community members will benefit the shelter more in the long run than optimizing for immediate fundraising efficiency? Kenneth, while I appreciate the community engagement benefits of an outdoor festival, I strongly believe the formal gala dinner represents the most effective fundraising approach for our animal shelter campaign. First and foremost, our primary objective is maximizing revenue for the shelter, and formal galas with high ticket prices generate significantly more money per attendee than festivals with modest admission fees and scattered purchases. Furthermore, gala events attract donors who have substantial financial capacity and are specifically attending to support the cause, whereas festival attendees are often primarily seeking entertainment with charitable giving as a secondary consideration. Additionally, the exclusive, elegant atmosphere of a formal gala demonstrates professionalism and seriousness about the shelter's mission, potentially attracting major donors, corporate sponsors, and community leaders who respond to sophisticated fundraising approaches. Moreover, formal events allow for structured programming including compelling speeches from shelter leadership, emotional rescue stories, and direct appeals for donations that are difficult to coordinate effectively at large outdoor festivals with competing activities. Although planning costs are higher and the audience is more limited, consider that cultivating relationships with high-capacity donors through elegant events often leads to sustained major gifts, legacy donations, and ongoing support that far exceeds one-time festival revenue. Consequently, investing in an upscale event that impresses and engages wealthy donors represents strategic fundraising that builds the shelter's long-term financial sustainability. Despite the outdoor festival being more accessible, we need to prioritize fundraising effectiveness over broad participation, and research consistently shows that formal galas generate higher revenue for nonprofit Organizations. The virtual auction option, while low cost, lacks the personal connection and emotional appeal that motivates generous giving. Don't you think we should focus on maximizing revenue through proven high-dollar fundraising methods rather than prioritizing community accessibility when the shelter's financial needs are so urgent? Hello, Ms. Richardson. Thank you for contacting me regarding Daniel Martinez's application for the operations manager position at your company. I appreciate the opportunity to provide an honest reference about his work during the 2 years he reported to me. First and foremost, I want to be clear that Daniel has several genuine strengths that made him a valuable team member. He's intelligent, personable, technically skilled, and generally competent in his core responsibilities. Furthermore, Daniel worked well with colleagues, contributed good ideas during team meetings, and handled customer interactions professionally. Nevertheless, in the interest of providing you with a complete and honest assessment, I need to mention some performance concerns that you should be aware of. Additionally, Daniel struggled with punctuality throughout his employment, arriving late to work or meetings frequently enough that it became a pattern requiring multiple conversations and a formal written warning. Moreover, he occasionally had difficulty meeting project deadlines, particularly when managing multiple priorities simultaneously, and sometimes needed significant supervision to keep projects on track. Although we worked with Daniel on these issues and saw some improvement, the punctuality and deadline challenges persisted to varying degrees throughout his tenure with our organization. Consequently, I want to emphasize that these concerns occurred within the context of generally satisfactory performance. Daniel successfully completed most assignments and contributed positively to our team overall. I believe with the right environment, clear expectations, and perhaps a role that plays to his strengths while providing structure around his weaker areas, Daniel could be successful in your organization. Additionally, I'm happy to answer any specific questions you have about Daniel's performance or to provide more context about particular aspects of his work. I hope this balanced assessment helps you make an informed hiring decision. Hello, Daniel. Thank you for reaching out about serving as your reference for the operations manager position. I wanted to talk with you personally before the potential employer contacts me because I need to be honest about something difficult. First and foremost, I genuinely appreciated having you on my team and I recognize many strengths you brought to your role, including your technical skills, intelligence, and ability to work well with colleagues. Nevertheless, when I provide professional references, I'm committed to giving honest assessments rather than inflated recommendations. And I need to tell you that I cannot provide the unreservedly strong reference you're hoping for. Furthermore, as you know from our conversations during your employment, there were some ongoing performance concerns, including punctuality issues and occasional deadline challenges that required formal discussions and a written warning. Additionally, if the potential employer asks me directly about your performance, I'm obligated to mention these concerns along with your strengths because misrepresenting your work history would be dishonest and potentially harmful to both the hiring company and to you if you're placed in a role where similar challenges might arise. Moreover, I want to be upfront with you about this rather than surprising you with a mixed reference that might undermine your candidacy without you knowing. Consequently, I strongly suggest that you consider using other references who can speak more positively about your work, perhaps a colleague who worked closely with you on successful projects, or a supervisor from another position where you performed more consistently. Although this is an uncomfortable conversation, I believe being transparent with you now is more respectful than providing a reference that might hurt your chances without giving you the opportunity to make different choices. Additionally, I want to emphasize that these performance concerns don't define your entire professional capability. And I genuinely hope you find a position where you can thrive. Would you prefer to remove me as a reference and identify someone else who can provide stronger endorsement of your work? Social media platforms should be required to verify users' ages before allowing account creation, as this policy would protect children from inappropriate content and predatory behavior while imposing reasonable requirements on companies profiting from user data. First and foremost, children and young teenagers are particularly vulnerable to online harms including cyberbullying, sexual exploitation, eating disorder content, and addictive design features that social media companies deliberately implement to maximize engagement. Furthermore, current age verification systems that simply ask users to enter their birth date are completely ineffective, as children routinely lie about their ages to access platforms designed for adults, circumventing protections that exist only in theory. Additionally, technology now exists for age verification that doesn't require revealing extensive personal information. Methods like facial age estimation, credit card verification for parents, or government ID checks with privacy protections could confirm ages without creating excessive privacy risks. Moreover, social media companies already collect enormous amounts of personal data about users for advertising purposes, so requiring age verification represents minimal additional privacy intrusion compared to the surveillance they already conduct while providing significant child protection benefits. Although some critics argue that age verification could reduce platform access or create privacy concerns, consider that we already require age verification for purchasing alcohol, tobacco, and age-restricted content in physical stores without considering this unreasonably burdensome. Consequently, requiring platforms to verify that users meet minimum age requirements seems like a reasonable expectation for companies whose products can significantly harm child development and safety. Additionally, effective age verification would help parents who want to restrict their children's social media access but currently struggle against platforms designed to encourage children to create accounts despite stated age restrictions. Nevertheless, implementation should include strong privacy protections ensuring that verification data isn't misused for marketing or surveillance purposes beyond confirming age eligibility. Therefore, mandatory age verification represents appropriate regulation that prioritizes child safety over platform growth metrics and recognizes that companies profiting from young users' attention and data should bear responsibility for ensuring those users are old enough to safely engage with their products. Nicole, I just discovered the most amazing vintage desk lamp at Anderson's Antiques that would be absolutely perfect for my home office. While helping my sister search for bedroom furniture, I came across this extraordinary piece that's designed to look like a miniature Eiffel Tower made entirely of brass and copper. The tower structure serves as both the stand and the decorative element, with the actual light bulb positioned at the top where the tower's peak would be, and a small adjustable shade that swivels to direct light wherever you need it. What makes this particularly remarkable is how intricate the metalwork is. Every girder, rivet, and architectural detail of the real Eiffel Tower has been meticulously reproduced at this miniature scale, making it look like an exact replica. Furthermore, the base features an engraved brass plaque with French text and what appears to be a date from the 1920s, suggesting this might be an authentic Art Deco period piece. Not only does it provide excellent task lighting with its adjustable arm and shade, but the patina on the metal gives it this beautiful aged appearance that adds character and sophistication. The antique dealer mentioned that similar lamps from this era rarely come on the market and this Particular one likely originated from a Parisian designer's workshop. Since the store has strict rules against photography to preserve the integrity of their authentication process, I couldn't capture any images. Given how we've been looking for the perfect vintage piece to complement your grandfather's desk that we inherited, and considering your love for French architecture from our Paris trip, I think this Eiffel Tower lamp would tie the whole office together beautifully. Should I inquire about the price?